Later this year in a referendum, you will be asked the following question. A proposed law to alter the Constitution to recognise the First Peoples of Australia by establishing an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander voice. Do you approve this proposed alteration? And here is the proposed addition to the Constitution. In this video and the following posts, we will discuss this proposed alteration to the Constitution. Let's start by looking at the composition of this body. The first question is whether the members are selected or elected. We don't know yet, but let's assume that they are elected. So, the first question is, who can vote and who can be elected? While it is unclear whether only Aboriginal people can be elected in this process, the main concern is determining who can vote in this process. It is generally assumed that only Aboriginal Australians can vote to elect members of the Voice, and this brings up the question of who is considered Aboriginal. Are we going to give the right to vote only to people with a specific genetic heritage, or in other words their race? It is not clear how much of Aboriginal genes should one have in order to be considered Aboriginal. There must be a limit. How can a person with 1/16 or 1 in 32 or less Aboriginal background claim to be Aboriginal because only one of their great-great-great-grandparents was an Aboriginal person? Or is it going to be based on the culture? So people from Aboriginal parents who have been raised by families of other cultures, who do not have any link to the Aboriginal culture, will not be allowed to vote. Or on the other hand, people of other backgrounds who grew up in Aboriginal communities, or those who have studied these cultures and have developed an interest and connection to the culture will be allowed to vote. In other words, how can government assess someone's connection to a culture? Or is it going to be based on self-identification? For example, I as an immigrant can claim and identify myself as an Aboriginal and be eligible to vote. No matter which approaches the government is going to take, it is going to be a complex and deeply divisive process. To have any elective process, similar to other elective processes in Australia, the government should prepare a list of eligible voters before any election takes place. Such a list and process divides Australian people based on their race and gives special rights to a racial group over others. This proposed change is a race-based policy that provides additional representation solely based on race. This type of policy runs counter to the principles of equality and fairness that are the foundation of a democratic, diverse and multicultural society. It would create a system where certain groups of people are given special treatment based solely on their race, which could ultimately lead to further division and tension within Australian society.